Hey friends, welcome to my first IGTV. I'm super excited. Kind of been a long time coming with making this. I'm definitely a little bit nervous, but I'm also excited. If you haven't heard by now, I was in Beachbody as a coach for about 3.5 years. And so I'm here to share my story. So I've got all the notes, got my water. So if you want something to drink, grab it because I'm not sure how long this is gonna get, but we'll see what happens. I also wrote down everybody's questions. So disclaimer, this is not to slander anybody. This is not to bash anybody. I'm not going to name any names. This is really to share my experience because this type of thing is so common. And a lot of people in MLMs are feeling similarly and want to get out and they don't think they can. It's kind of crazy how messed up a lot of it can be, if we're being honest. I thought I would first go through my backstory a little bit, and then I can go in and talk about just parts of Beachbody with coaching, a little bit how MLMs in general work and things like that. Let's get into it. I first signed up with Beachbody in December of 2016. I was out of undergrad. I had dealt with anorexia throughout my whole college career, and I was just wanting to get just more in shape and eat more balanced and things like that. My recovery had gone well and I was doing fine, but I wanted something more, just wanted structure because I felt like I was always just doing my own thing and not really seeing many results. So I saw some people on Instagram, they were coaches, they talked about workout programs and joining a team and things like that. At first I thought I would never do that type of thing, but then it was like, well, if it's working for them, maybe it's got something that I'm missing as far as accountability or something. So anyways, I joined in December 2016. Really enjoyed it. I made some pretty good progress, saw good results after several months. And it was probably a good year into it at least that I realized, maybe this would be fun to do on the side. And you'll see later that that's a big thing that can happen with Beachbody coaches. They simply start out loving the product and they want to share it with others. So I thought I want to share it with others. So then I started to become more of a hobby coach, which with Beachbody coaching, which we'll get into that, you can be full-time, part-time. You can do it as a hobby where you're not really trying to make a huge amount of money, you're just literally doing it kind of for fun. So I did that for a while. I kind of wanted to go more into part-time during grad school. I went to a music conservatory and I just wanted something very different from my music career. Just wanted something a little bit more of a different outlet. It was very interesting fitting that into my master's degree. As I was getting more into it, the longer I was in it, I could see more of the behaviors and the things that happen that nobody talks about kind of out in the open. So for example, I was at a music festival in the summer of 2017, and I was doing full-time Beachbody coaching in addition to that. And as I'll talk about later, inviting is a huge main part of Beachbody coaching, and I would spend hours a day. I would sacrifice so much sleep. I did that for 2 months during that music festival and saw like no results. As far as my tipping point, a lot of people are curious about well, what made you want to quit? What turned you off from it? It was a bunch of things. It was definitely a bunch of things over the years that pricked my conscience. And as I'll talk about later, there's so much toxic positivity, which is a real thing. You're never really supposed to doubt the system or to point out any negative or hard things about what you're doing or what's going on, because it's always your fault and you're always the one in control. So if things aren't going well, you're not doing well or something, it's always your fault. So the end of 2019, we had a 6-week push group, which basically was simply to get my coach above me to a certain high ranking. When you're trying to hit ranks, and if you're not familiar with MLMs, they all have the same kind of ranking system. A lot of them use the same terminology like emerald, diamond, ruby, things like that. But in the first main levels, once you hit your rank, you have it. But with higher rankings with Star Diamond, you have to hold it for 6 weeks. which nobody talks about. So anyways, we had a 6-week push group, and our coach never told us that this was all for her ranking. We were all, trying to hit diamond and hold it to keep her getting the high ranking, if that makes sense. So one of the many things that will come out that you just are not told when you're in it. This push group, I said yes that I could be in it, that I would do my best to hold diamond. I already hit it, I think February of that year, I think of 2019. I was like, okay, I'll do it, I can do this. Out of the 15 of us who committed to keeping diamond, to get my coach to 15 star, I think only 10 of us were able to hold it for the 6 weeks, including myself. And I'll get into that a little bit more. There was so much just cringeworthy behaviors that go on with this. Number one, there's so much of an obsession with this that, when they say the sky's the limit, this is all about pursuing your dreams, the income possibilities are literally endless. It's so manipulative. It's not true. And what people will sacrifice to get to goals like that, it's crazy and it's not worth it. I remember one week a girl accidentally dropped diamond, and my coach was so furious. I think she tried to handle it as well as she could, but that poor girl who dropped diamond, I mean, the amount of shame that she had, she didn't show up in our group chat for like a week. And then she finally came out and like apologized and like acted like she was the worst person in the whole world. And I felt so bad for her. I was like, this is not okay for a goal like this, for a business, for something like this to tear someone down so hard. That's one of the reasons why it's not all about just the work that you do. You can work this 24 hours a day. That doesn't really guarantee much. So the thing that happened during the push group was, while we were trying to keep me diamond, my coach, she would be very dedicated to helping each of us hold diamond because that would get her to the 15 star. I had a coach underneath me who was brand new, like brand spanking new. She was super excited, such a sweet gal. We got along great. And we're trying to get her to emerald to keep me diamond. Long story short, my coach gets on the phone with me, and then she wants to talk to the coach below me. And she's on the phone with her, trying to get her to emerald. And what you'll see in MLMs is they can be so desperate to make a buck, to keep a rank. They will literally encourage you to sign up anybody who breathes. Anybody. If they are a living, breathing person, make them sign up. So this poor new coach that I had brought on, she was under me, was pressured so hard to sign up her boyfriend under her, and they didn't really have the money, which is understandable. This stuff costs a lot. Me and the coach under me had a meltdown that night. I was working so late to hit the goal by midnight, and Vince had come over. We were engaged then, and he was bummed because I was trying to hit this goal by midnight, and he had worked all day and came over to hang out, and I was busy. I couldn't get away. I had to make this goal by midnight. It was just ridiculous also because my coach literally wanted Vince to talk to my coach's boyfriend and convince him to sign up. It was absolutely ridiculous. And Vince was really the one who started to help me wake up and see how insane this all is. Of course, he said, of course I won't do that. He's not gonna talk to a random guy and say, you need to sign up under your girlfriend to get her to a ranking. And my coach would pressure me to, think of literally anybody, a grandma, an aunt, like, is there literally anybody that you can sign up? It's like, no, I'm not asking my grandma to buy a challenge pack that can be 160, 180 bucks that she's not gonna use just to get me to rank. The thing is, they disguise this as being super dedicated, working super hard, doing whatever it takes, things like that. that's not what it is. That's wasting people's money, wasting people's time. It's not okay. And then I started to step back and realize she's been doing this all along, and so have other coaches in our team. And this is something that I'll talk about later too. You are pressured hardcore in the beginning to sign up your spouse, a parent, anybody close to you. So then I was like, okay, so when I see coaches rank and everybody's celebrating them, it's the biggest deal in the world, they probably just got a random friend or family member to sign up, not because they necessarily wanted the product, but just to get them to rank. And I was like, this is starting to really not feel good. Towards the end of December, when the push group was gonna end around December 31st, trying to hit this big goal, this big deadline, our wedding was coming up on January 11th. And by that point, I've been doing this for so long, and I wasn't gonna make any excuses. I was like, I can still do this. I can keep this going even during the wedding planning. In our little Facebook group message with all of us coaches, which was a very toxic, weird place, I simply just wanted to get a little encouragement. A lot of the other women were married too, so I was like, oh, they're totally gonna relate with wedding planning. So I simply said, hey ladies, my wedding is coming up in like 2 weeks, and I'm still committed to hitting this deadline. I'm gonna keep diamond, blah, blah, blah. I'm not quitting, but I'm just stressed, and I was just simply looking for some encouragement. Because another thing about the whole team aspect is you're told that you're gonna gain this amazing community of friends and everybody is in it together. So I was like, well, I never really utilized that community in a sense. And these are other women who should understand what I'm going through planning a wedding, and we planned our wedding at 3.5 months. So it was a little bit crazy. So the only 2 responses I got were literally to the extent of, too bad, we're all busy. I'm not even kidding. Those were their responses. And that was a huge tipping point for me. I was so hurt. I could not believe the extent these women had sold themselves to this goal. They couldn't even empathize with a fellow teammate with the same goal in mind, who was simply a little bit stressed and needed some encouragement. And that's all they had to say was, too bad we're all busy and we're all making this happen. So basically you need to just do your job no matter what. I was so hurt by that, I should have quit right then and there. I pulled myself together and just tried to finish out that push group, and I was super unhappy by the end of it. And our wedding happened in January, crazy busy time, moving a ton, and it's just been a whirlwind. It was probably around March or so when I was starting to really feel like, I think for the first time, maybe I actually could quit, because you're never allowed to go anywhere near that thought when you're in it. Because if you quit, that's all on you. If you quit because you didn't make much money, that's all your fault. It's never the system's fault, it's always you, because you didn't work hard enough. So I was beginning to think for the first time in my life, as the Beachbody coach, actually I could quit. I wonder what that would be like if I actually quit. That's when just the ball got rolling, and I started realizing, wow, I need to do this. I need to stop. So I was still trying to salvage what I had, because I still did like the products. Honestly, a lot of people don't like Shakeology and the programs, but I really always liked them. Call me crazy. It's not all bad. I was still, after the wedding and everything, interested in trying to keep coaching going a little bit. So a friend of mine, she's super sweet. She was on the same team with me. She started doing her own network marketing coaching. She was basically showing me how you can recruit people and coach without the cold inviting process, which I'll get into. Everybody hates inviting, sending and receiving. And I thought, okay, well maybe I could try this for a while and maybe I'll feel better about it, because then I'm not gonna be sending cold invites all the time, but I can still be doing it because I do enjoy the health and fitness aspect, and I've met some amazing people through this. I really have. I've made some great friends. So I thought maybe I could keep this going a little bit longer. I did that for maybe a month. I can't even remember exactly. It might have been more like 2 or 3 months. And I didn't tell my coach about that because that was a completely different way of coaching than she had taught me and everybody else. So I didn't tell her because I didn't think it'd be worth it. I was just like, it's gonna cause so much drama. We're already like not in the greatest place. Why should I even tell her? But eventually it came out and I told her, you know, I've been like full on like working the biz and like I still want to do it. I'm just trying a different method. Within a couple minutes, she removed me from the entire Facebook team group. And she was extremely hostile over our little message and sending me voicemails, like 10 voicemails, explaining how that's not gonna work. Other people have done it. You think you're in a loving team of people who are gonna just embrace you and include you, but the moment that you doubt or end up leaving, your friendship is most likely just gonna be gone. So I had seen this happen to other ladies too, who had changed gears or left or something, and people are just not friends anymore after that. So it's like, wasn't really a friendship in the beginning. I couldn't believe she shut me out of the entire team. I don't know how many women were in that group. There must have been at least 100, I don't know, for simply trying a different like method of coaching. And her reasoning was simply, she didn't want that type of negativity in the group. So if you think about that for a second, I had never said anything about what I was doing in the team group, and I wasn't going to. And how is that negative? Because I was feeling really dirty and gross with the inviting process, that I was being negative about it and trying something else? It's crazy. That's where the toxic positivity comes in. If anything is slightly different or goes against what the group thinks and works towards, then you shut them out immediately. You have to protect the team, protect the vibe. I thought, wow, she so quickly shut me out of the team that fast. It was just, everything was falling into place as far as me leaving. And I just knew I had to pull the plug. I eventually sent her a very long message back and explained how I was really personally hurt over the past several years, like the stories I mentioned. I didn't want to say anything bad about her. I basically said like, I'm done. I don't believe in this anymore, blah, blah, blah. She never wrote me back. So I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised. I'm just gonna say it. I will never recommend people join an MLM. And every time I see people join one, a piece of my heart breaks. And if someone invites me to one, I will straight up say, I'm not for that, and I think you should get out. So now I'm going to go into some various MLM aspects, some things that you guys have asked about. I got my notes because with baby brain, it's sometimes a miracle if I can just form a sentence. With Beachbody coaching, there are 4 vital behaviors. Originally there was 3 and now there are 4. Number 1, be proofs that the product works. Now when you think about this, of course, the coaches should be using the products, right? But when you dig into it deeper, this turns coaches into the biggest customers, because we have monthly minimums that we have to buy every month to stay active. One thing that I was never told about too was as you go higher up in rank, you have to buy more each month to stay active. When you're at the very, very bottom, getting a tub of the pre-workout is gonna keep you active. But when you move up, you gotta buy a lot more than that to stay active, which is very important as a coach. You're gonna end up buying a lot. And this is why so many Beachbody coaches, at least when they finally get out and realize how much money they've lost, this is the reason why. You're also supposed to do the workout programs, understandable, and like I said, I liked pretty much most of the programs I did. A lot of them are fun and great, and one of the reasons that I did start to not do them in the spring was because I got pregnant and I wanted to do actual pregnancy workouts. Beachbody had like nothing for that. So second vital behavior is inviting. This is probably the worst part about coaching, but it's also one of the biggest parts about coaching that nobody will tell you when you're first interested in coaching. But when you become a Beachbody coach, or you know, a Monat distributor, Arbonne, whatever it is, you're gonna be pushed to send at least probably 20 invites a day, more or less. Most dedicated people who are always just idolized, you know, they'll send 100 invites a day. You know, it's ridiculous, but a lot of that consists of cold inviting. So if you've never gotten one, which most people have by now, gotten some kind of cold invite from someone in an MLM, it usually starts out with, "Hey girl, wondering if you'd be interested in an opportunity," or something like that. Or, "I have a challenge coming up, wondering if you want to join," or something to that extent. Inviting is it's pretty much everybody's least favorite thing to do as a coach, but it's pushed as the most important thing to do, which is interesting when you first are given the idea of coaching and what it is. Nobody talks about inviting, because if they did, nobody would want to do it. Third one is to recognize. And this just means shout out the people in your team underneath you, your clients, you know, highlight everybody who's doing well. Okay. The fourth one is personal development. And this was one that I had a lot of problems with. Number one, a lot of it is encouraging you to read self-help books. Sounds great, right? I mean, as a coach, you know, it sounds great that a big part about being a coach is you're getting paid to work on yourself. You're getting paid to become the best version of yourself. That's how they put it. And that's not true. You're not getting paid to do that. I encourage you to read books like Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, which don't even get me started. Not a fan of Rachel Hollis. A lot of these books are, you know, written by self-help gurus and are very questionable in their morals, honestly, and I think more people are becoming aware of them. A lot of Christians who get sucked into this too end up having to compromise a lot, and I'll just say it as well, that there's a lot of new age practices that get into these self-help books and then get into Christians and their thoughts. And this was one thing that always rubbed me the wrong way, was there's a lot of things like manifestation, things like that, that are just blatantly new age. And I remember my coach, she really started getting into that maybe a year ago or something. I honestly can't remember, but I remember she would literally just like stand in front of her laptop, take a video of herself standing there, manifesting and like declaring what this year was gonna hold as far as success. And it was just the most cringy thing, because here you are, a professing Christian. If you look at her posts on Instagram, she shares her faith a lot and everything. She shares her story, and yet when it comes to being so obsessed with certain monetary income goals and earthly goals, that you're willing to participate in something like this where you think you have the power to attract things that you want in life. It's not how the world works. And even if you somehow still see success, you're digging into very, very, very dangerous waters when it comes to new age practices. I've become more passionate about that as I've learned more about it lately and how it's gotten into the church a lot. It's insane. In all of that, coaches become the biggest customers, and you'll see this if you join as a coach with something like Beachbody. You're pressured to buy as many products as possible, and if you don't have the money, then you either need to borrow it, take out a loan, put it on a credit card, do whatever it takes. It's crazy. Like I said, to stay active, but you also are trying to sell these products too, in a sense. That's the next thing I was going to talk about, is income, because there's so much backlash against these MLMs because they seem like pyramid schemes, and all the MLM coaches, distributors parrot the same responses. Oh, well, if it was a pyramid scheme, it would be illegal by now. That doesn't mean that it's not illegal because it hasn't been caught yet. It just means there's a certain amount of time till it will be caught. And the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, had been writing letters to a lot of these main MLMs, constantly saying, you guys are stepping across the line, you know, literally sending warnings that people need to stop doing certain things because they're acting like pyramid schemes. So income with Beachbody specifically comes mostly from recruitment and ranking and bonuses with that. Your main thing with coaching is recruiting as many people as possible each month. And if you have someone who doesn't want to do coaching, they just want to be a customer, you're told to pressure that person as much as possible to have them join as a discount coach, because then that still counts towards your ranking and your income. It's so messed up, and that's why it's so borderline a pyramid scheme, because that has to do with recruiting versus selling products. Yes, there are products with something like Beachbody, but you can't make a great income just selling Shakeology or selling Beachbody on demand. You can't. It's impossible. The only way you get to the top, the people who make the most money with Beachbody are the people with the biggest teams. That's simply how it works. So if you want to be a super successful Beachbody coach, let's say, you have to build a team. That's where it gets super confusing for a lot of people in the beginning. It's because when you're pitched the idea of becoming a Beachbody coach, you're told it's going to be all about gaining a community. You're going to get paid to work out and eat healthy and work on your own health and fitness. Who doesn't want to do that? And then 3 is to help other people do the same. Who wouldn't want that kind of job? Sounds great, right? I work on myself, I'm gonna get paid to work out, and I'm gonna help other people do it. That's great. So when I started recruiting people and started helping others get healthier, that was fun, but you can't make money doing that. You have to recruit people to the business. You have to recruit people to coaching if you wanna make actual residual income. You dig down deep and you actually look at what you're doing, because most of the time with your coaching behaviors each day, you're gonna be sending, copying and pasting invites to people. You're going to have lists and lists of hundreds and hundreds of people that you're trying to invite, and there's all these responses that you can give. There's so many issues with inviting, because if people have an objection, you're told that that's just an excuse. You're told to literally just disrespect whatever they say, basically, to still convince them to join. People say they don't have the money. You're basically told to look at them as a liar, honestly. You're told to look at them as like they have the money, they just don't want to do it, or they're just being lazy or something. So you have to convince them to spend the money to join. There's so many things wrong with inviting, it's just horrible. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll say, well, with coaching, I mean, if you want to make an extra $50 a month, heck, if you want to make an extra $1,500 a month, you can do it, no problem. You have full control, you can do whatever you want. And it's just manipulation. You're selling a promise to something that will not come true. The chances of people actually earning good income long term, literally it's like 1% of the company, or 0.1% or something ridiculous. People who actually earn a decent income through this, 99% of people actually lose money with MLMs. So it's super contradictory when you step back and look at it, because you're told anybody can do this, no matter how busy you are, no matter how tight your budget is, you can totally do this, and yet you have to spend a minimum each month. And if you don't make a goal, you're told you just didn't work hard enough. There's also weekly training calls, Zoom calls that you're pressured to go to each week. And one of the worst things that I do remember is where a mom said she wouldn't be able to make the call because that was right after her kid's bedtime to tuck them in. And the top coach literally shamed them for doing that and basically was like, well, can your husband tuck the kid in tonight? There's no balance, there's no respect, there's no perspective on, this is just, for a lot of people, a side thing, and tucking their kid into bed at night is gonna be a bigger priority, believe it or not. That hit me super hard too at one point, just, wow, you're actually shaming that mom for tucking your kid into bed instead of watching the call live. That's just so wrong. Another thing a lot of big coaches will say is they want to retire their husband. They want to be able to travel wherever they want, be financially free. There's all these big promises, but the retire your husband part never made sense. For one thing, who wants a husband who's retired at like 25 or something? My husband Vince, he loves work, and men need to work. Like, work is a good thing. It's a blessing, it's part of life. Why would I want to be retired or want my husband to be retired before we're 30, especially doing something like this? It's just such a wrong mindset. If you want to save up for retirement later, that's fine. But also, people talk about retirement like for themselves as coaches. If they're a full-time Beachbody coach and they retired from their corporate job at the age of 23 or whatever, you're not retired because you're still working. And along with that, they'll target a lot of stay-at-home moms, people who want to work from home, people who need that flexibility in their schedule and in their budget. They'll target those people to become Beachbody coaches. At first it sounds great because I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm a musician as well, so we're going to figure out how that works when the baby comes. But overall, I do want to be a stay-at-home mom, and so the thought of like, oh, if I could actually earn money doing this from home sounds great. So that's how a lot of people get roped into these things, is they have such a good desire like that, and they get sucked in. And they could potentially be shamed for putting their kid before work or putting their husband before their work. They want to go to bed with their husband at the same time instead of staying up till 3 a.m. working. You know, you're being lazy or something. It's the pros and cons of being a customer versus a coach. There's really not a whole lot. If you are a customer, honestly, if you are someone who just simply likes the workout programs, maybe you like the pre-workout, honestly, it's super good, I think. I think it's fine, you do you. If you want to buy the programs, if you want to buy the pre-workout or Shakeology, that's totally up to you. You don't have to feel bad about that. A lot of people in the anti-MLM community say you should never, ever support an MLM in any way by buying products. But with being a coach, for one thing, you have a monthly coach fee. So even if you're someone who is buying the products and not doing the business work, and you want to sign up as a coach for the discounts, the discount really doesn't end up being that much. You still have to pay that 15 to 17 bucks per month to be a discount coach, and it only saves you, it really doesn't save you that much. A couple last things, because I know this is getting super long. One thing that was really starting to really prick my conscience and my heart was the abuse I would see with scripture and with morality in this. One of the reasons I want to join this particular coach's team, because she's a Christian, pretty much everybody else on her team is a Christian too. So I thought, great, like meeting Christian women, this is going to be awesome, what a great community, things like that. There were so many instances where it was justification for doing something that they clearly felt guilty about doing in the biz. There's such a problem in the church today, I think, where people have no problem taking a random Bible story and inserting themselves into the story and making themselves the hero. The Bible's all about us sort of mentality, which is just wrong. So, you know, if you want to pick up the story of Noah's Ark and how he was ridiculed for what he was doing, but he had this dream and he had this goal and everybody ridiculed him, but he did it anyways. When you're told like, oh, you gotta invite all these people, you gotta harass your family, you know, invite the same people every single month because they have to be invited 7 times before they'll say yes. Oh my gosh. Do it anyways, even if you're ridiculed, because look at what happened to Noah and things like that. And it's just so wrong to use scripture for a narrative like that. With morality too, it's just, you have to put aside your conscience a lot. And I think when people have been in MLMs for long enough, they start to think that everything is normal and fine with what they do. Even though if you stand back and you're in kind of more reality, you realize that a lot of stuff is just not okay when it comes to the inviting, the pressuring people, the toxic positivity, which is super rampant in these things. You can listen to stories of people who have reached the top rankings of these big MLMs, and they will say that it was a waste. They will say nothing is what it actually, you know, the way that people portray their lives, these top MLM coaches, when they portray their lives, so much of it is not true and it's just not worth it. So now what? I want to talk briefly about if you have a friend or family member or someone you know who's in an MLM, or even if you get a cold invite, here's what you do. Please be kind to the person. If at all possible, do not ghost them. Do not respond back really snarky and mean. Do not be mean to people in MLMs, please. They think they're doing the best job in the world. They do. They think that they are literally helping humanity, bringing people out of the depths of whatever they're going through. They think that this is the biggest gift that they could ever give to someone. There are a lot of bad people in MLMs, of course, like anything. But I would say the majority of coaches and distributors in MLMs are very good, genuine people. So please just be nice if someone does invite you to something, but be honest. And you can definitely say, hey, thanks so much, but I don't support MLMs. You can leave it at that. You can explain more. You can show them this IGTV. There's so much content on YouTube with anti-MLM videos. You can send them something like that. But I would just caution you to just be kind to those people. I wish I had people who did that with me, because most of the time I know people would ghost me or be very blunt and kind of mean to me, honestly. And I know that they were just not in agreement with what I did, and I understand that now, but I wish that they simply had said that, like, either they don't agree with the MLM structure or something that would have had a little bit of a dialogue to where I could actually understand, being in the MLM, where they were coming from. Because I didn't do my research before I joined, and that is the worst thing I ever did, was to not do the research. People a lot of times will do research, but all it is asking their upline about how it all works, and that's just not research. So yeah, if you're invited, you know, if at all possible, don't ghost them. They're gonna keep inviting you. They are told to invite the same people every single month until they hear from you. So they are gonna keep inviting you. You can block them if you want, that's fine, but I just encourage you to politely decline, but make it clear that, you know, this is not just a not yet or something, that this is something that you're just not gonna do. You're not gonna change someone through accusing them, through making them feel stupid or bad for what they're doing. Like, just do it out of kindness and love. Just know that a lot of people lose friendships in MLMs when they leave. A lot of times that whole team aspect goes out the window. So showing them that they could get out, they could still have friends and a support system and a great life outside of MLMs. That's about it. I know this got crazy long. And I know this was literally just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more I can say. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you ever want to talk more, please DM me. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this. If you've been in an MLM before, if you're in one now, just know that I care about you so much. You are probably the biggest reason why I made this video and why I'm talking about it more now, is because I know what it's like, and I know that feeling that you want to get out and you can't, or you don't think you can. Don't hesitate to reach out. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, and hope you guys have an awesome day.